Are you thinking about making a move to the Twin Cities in Minnesota, but you're wondering how you're gonna manage through winter? Well, then this video is for you because I'm gonna tell you how Minnesotans do it and let you know what you can do to prepare and survive through Minnesota winter. Tip number one, make sure that you are layering properly. I cannot express how big of a difference this makes. So for your base layer, you're gonna want something nylon or polyester or really any material that's moisture wicking. And then for your mid layer, you're gonna want something fleece or something fuzzy. For your outer layer, you're gonna want your big old jacket that's waterproof. And if you do get the long one like I have, make sure that it cinches at the bottom, otherwise air just flies right up. You're also gonna want a hat. Make sure that the hat is tight enough, otherwise your ears will get cold anyway. Get a scarf, get mittens or gloves, get nice merino wool socks or socks made of alpaca fur. And if it's for those really cold days, get some long johns. Tip number two, check your weather forecast. So if there's gonna be a huge snowstorm or if the conditions are really icy or there's a lot of sleet, it can take you up to 3 times longer to get somewhere. So you're gonna wanna plan ahead to make sure that you're allowing yourself enough time to get to your commitments. And if you have to go during rush hour, that causes delays. And often people forget how to drive. So that can cause delays too from all the accidents. You also wanna make sure to put your windshield wipers up because it's gonna be a lot easier when you don't have to work around the windshield wipers when you're wiping off the snow. And also sometimes they freeze to your windshield, so that will help prevent that too. And one more thing, if it's going to get really cold, as it does in Minnesota, it's a really good idea to make sure that you are not low on gas. Like your gas isn't gonna freeze, but at the same time, it's really hard on your engine for your car to operate in really extreme cold temperatures. Tip number 3, find some winter activities to enjoy, or at least find an indoor hobby, because the winters in Minnesota can last up to 6 months, and if you're just looking forward to the end of it, it's gonna make you depressed. It helps so much if you have something to look forward to every winter. So you can go snowboarding or skiing, ice fishing or ice skating, or if you got a friend with a snowmobile, that's cool. Otherwise, if you get an Airbnb up north that has a hot tub, that's super awesome, because being in a hot tub when it's really cold outside is a super great feeling. And if you don't really want to do any of that stuff, take a cooking class or a dancing class or maybe an art class, anything really to get you out of the house or anything that you can look forward to in the winter. And if you don't want to do any of that, just plan your vacations in the middle of winter to somewhere warm like Florida, and it will really help to break it up. Tip number 4, get a remote car starter. It'll be the best investment you'll ever make if you move to Minnesota. I think it's only about $500 to get it installed. Don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure, but it is worth every single penny. You can start your car from the comfort of your warm house, and then you can start to defrost your car so you don't have to scrape off all the ice. You can just wipe it off. And then if your windshield wipers get frozen to your windshield, it can help with that too. And also it's not good for your engine to start your car and then go right away. It should be running for a little bit, so then that can give you a head start on that. Also, I mean, I think this goes without saying, but if you do need to defrost your car, if you don't have a remote start, don't throw hot water on your windshield. I don't think a whole lot of people do that, but sometimes you're like in a rush and you're like, oh, just get this defrosted real quick. Don't do that, it's gonna shatter your windshield. Another thing I wanna mention about the remote start is that it's really awesome because often you have to lock it before you can activate it. And often Minnesota, I think it's illegal to actually have your car started with the keys in the ignition because they're trying to reduce auto theft. And of course, you don't want that to happen either. So a remote car starter will definitely help with that, because when I turn mine on, you can't even move, nothing else on the car turns on except for the engine. So, and the car's locked. So anyway, really great thing to have, especially if you have a 10-minute drive to work and you're just freezing the whole time, you don't even have any time to warm up. It sucks, it's awful. But if you have a remote car starter, you're gonna be warm within a couple of minutes. Tip number 6, pack your car with essentials. So you're gonna wanna have a phone charger, a battery pack, blankets, and a first aid kit. Now in the age of cell phones, somebody's probably gonna get to you within an hour, but that's why it's very important to have a car charger or a battery pack. But you're also going to wanna keep some kitty litter or sand in your car in case you get stuck in a snowbank and you need to throw that under your tires to gain traction. Another thing you can do for that is you can stick your floor mat under there, but it does get them kind of nasty. So if you have nice floor mats, I recommend keeping some extra ones in the car so you don't have to ruin your nice ones. Another great thing to keep in your car is some extra window wiper fluid. But get the special kind. It's purple and it helps melt frost and also prevent re-icing. So when you put your windshield wipers on, it's gonna be a lot better for that. And if they are frozen, don't force them because you're gonna break the motor. But another really great thing it's good for, and this is why you should have extra, is because sometimes it gets really cold and your car door freezes. So what you can do is pour a little bit of that on your car and then it unfreezes your door. It's great. Tip number 6, check your parking rules. I think I said tip number 6 before, but this is actually tip number 6, I just messed up. Anyway, the real tip number 6, check your parking rules. In Minneapolis, there are snow emergency routes, and if they declare a snow emergency, you can't park on snow emergency routes starting at 9 p.m. that night. And then the next day you can't park on odd or even side, and then the next day it's the opposite of whatever that is. I can never remember. So I highly recommend that you get the snow emergency app and opt in for the text messages. So they're gonna tell you which one it is, if it's gonna be odd or even, because it sucks to get your car towed. I lived in downtown Minneapolis and I got my car towed 6 times in 1 year just because I just kept messing up, and that was before they came out with the app. And so really that cost me about $1,200. So it's a really, really great idea to make sure you're checking your parking rules so you don't get your car towed. Tip number 7, check your tires and prepare your vehicle. So you do not want to be driving with bald tires in Minnesota winter because you will slide and you can be more likely to get an accident, and that just sucks. So if you need new tires, make sure that you invest in that before you drive here. Also, 4-wheel drive is not necessary. It's really, really nice, but at the same time, it is not necessary. I've been driving the same car for 13 years. It's a 4-door sedan, and I do just fine. I do have an anti-lock brake system, and I don't really like it that much. I actually just tap my brakes instead, because sometimes you'll hear a grinding noise when you tap on the brakes, and that likely means that you hit ice. So just tap your brakes, don't slam on your brakes, because that's gonna make you slide more. Also, if you are coming from a warmer state, make sure that you have low temperature coolant, because some coolant is only designed to go down to work down to 0 degrees, and it will inevitably get colder than that here, and you really, really don't want your coolant to freeze. Don't be nervous about driving on the roads. It's really, really not that scary, especially when you get used to it. I mean, you can always go to an empty parking lot and kind of just like test your car out and see how it feels and everything to make you feel more confident. But all you have to do is just make sure that you're going slow, tap your brakes if necessary, and make sure to keep a pretty good distance between you and the car in front of you. And then you'll be just fine. Tip number 8, make sure you prepare your home. So of course you're gonna wanna get a furnace tune-up, because the last thing you want is for the temperature to drop to -15 degrees, and then your furnace breaks, and then all of a sudden, all the HVAC companies are busy and they can't get out there till next week, and you have to get space heaters. That just sucks. So make sure that you get a tune-up. Also, if you have central AC, make sure to put a wooden board over the AC unit outside, because that's going to stop the snow and ice from damaging the fins. Another thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you drain your outdoor spigot, because then the water can freeze in there, so make sure to do that. You also want to check if you have a humidifier, you want to check your pad, because if it's dirty, it's not going to work properly, and winters in Minnesota can be really dry. If you have drafty windows, or if you want to just reduce some of your heating costs, it's a really, really great idea to put plastic on your windows. There are special kits for it, but you're gonna need a hairdryer, and then you just put the plastic over the window, hair dry it, and then they're more insulated. It's great. Another thing you should do is check your attic insulation and then add more if it's starting to thin out, or hire somebody to do it, because a lot of heat is lost through your attic. So adding more insulation up there will actually help reduce your heating costs, and it also helps produce ice dams, which are those like really long ice cones that hang from your house, which can be dangerous. So it's great for a lot of things, but definitely helps you reduce your cost. Hopefully you feel a little bit more prepared to survive Minnesota winter, but if you're wondering what the pros and cons are to living here, watch this video next.